Hello again. I did buy quite a few YA and middle grade books this month. First book I'm going to talk about in this book haul is Dread Nation. This is about Jane McKinney, who was born 2 days before the dead began to walk the battlefields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, derailing the war between the states and changing the nation forever. In this new America, safety for all depends on the work of a few, and laws like the Negro and Native Reclamation Act require certain children attend combat school to learn to put down the dead. But there are also opportunities, and Jane is studying to become an attendant, trained in both weaponry and etiquette to protect the well-to-do. It's a chance for a better life for Negro children like Jane. But that's not the life she wants. Almost finishing with her education at Miss Preston's School of Combat in Baltimore, Jane is set on returning to her Kentucky home and doesn't pay much mind to the politics of the eastern cities with their talk of returning America to the glory days before the dead rose. But when families around Baltimore County begin to go missing, Jane is caught in the middle of a desperate fight against some powerful enemies, and the restless dead, it seems, are the least of her problems. At once provoking, terrifying, and darkly subversive, Dread Nation is Justin Ireland's stunning vision of America, both foreign and familiar, a country on the brink at an explosive crossroads where race, humanity, and survival meet. This sounds like a really good book. I actually am somewhat of a Civil War history buff, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this book, and that is called Dread Nation. I also picked up at the used bookstore I Know What You Did Last Summer. I've never actually read the book. I've seen the movie. I'm sure the book and the movie are way different, but it was only $1, $1.50, so I decided, let me pick it up. I'll see if I like that one. I picked up The End of Oz. I've really enjoyed this series. This is the last book I have to read in the Dorothy Must Die series by Danielle Page, so I am definitely looking forward to this. I can't really tell you much about it without ruining the rest of the series, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing how this book ends. I also picked up Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. I am looking forward to this book because this is basically a book about part Wonder Woman, part Vikings, and all heart. I don't even have to read the rest of the synopsis. Just that little blurb is going to be like, I'm picking it up. But for those who are interested, let me read the synopsis. Raised to be a warrior, 17-year-old Ellen fights alongside her Asuka clansmen in an ancient rivalry against the Riki clan. Her life is brutal but simple. Fight and survive until the day she sees the impossible on the battlefield. Her brother fighting with the enemy, the brother she watched die 5 years ago. Faced with her brother's betrayal, she must survive the winter in the mountain with the Riki, in a village where every neighbor is an enemy, every battle scar possibly one she delivered. But when the Riki village is raided by a ruthless clan thought to be a legend, Ellen is even more desperate to get back to her beloved family. She is given no choice but to trust Fisk, her brother's friend, who sees her as a threat. They must do the impossible, unite the clans to fight together or risk being slaughtered one by one. Driven by a love for her clan and her growing love for Fisk, Ellen must confront her own definition of loyalty and family while daring to put her fate in the people she spent her life hating. So this sounds good. I've heard a lot of good things about this book, so I am looking forward to it. That is Sky in the Deep. Another book I picked up, Devils into Dust by Emma Bergquist. Life out here is hard, so you have to be harder. Willie has always survived, no matter what life in Glory, Texas has thrown at her. The sickness that swept through the state and turned most living creatures into terrifying shakes. Her own mother succumbing to the disease. Her father disappearing into saloons and gambling and liquor. Willie survives, and she makes sure her younger brother and sister do too. Then her good-for-nothing father steals a fortune from one of the most merciless shake hunters in town, and Willie is on the hook for his debt. With 2 young hunters as guides, Willie sets out across the desert to find him and make him pay. But the desert holds many dangers, and the shakes are only a few of them. There is no place for the weak. So this sounds to me like more of a Western type of story. I really like Gunslinger Girl, and hopefully this is somewhat like that as far as a Western interesting story, and I am definitely interested in reading this book. That is called Devils Unto Dust. Next book I picked up, The Fates Divided. This is the second in the new series for Veronica Roth. She started with Carve the Mark, which I think I've talked about in my last videos about BookTube, that I read Carve the Mark. I really enjoyed it. I know it's gotten a lot of hate on BookTube, but I really enjoyed it. So now that the second book is out, I am looking forward to it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil too much, but it's an interesting series, and I'm probably going to read the first book again because it's been a while since I've read the first book, so I might actually reread the first book before I dive into this one. This is The Fates Divided by Veronica Roth. And this is a series I'm a little nervous about because I know a lot of people on BookTube love it, and there are some people who really hate it. And there's a funny story about this is I went to the used bookstore and found this Court of Mist and Fury autographed. That's what it says here. So it has an autographed copy of this but it is an autographed copy. This is not the first book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is the second book, from what I can tell. So because I got this second book for a very good price of only $6 autographed, I said, I gotta buy the first book. So I also picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I will see how I like this series. There have been some series that have been highly praised that I haven't liked, but we will see. So A Court of Thorns and Roses, I think most people know about it, but for those who don't, she stole a life, now she must pay with her heart. When 19-year-old huntress Fire kills a wolf in the woods, a beast-like creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged through a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Fire discovers that her captor is not an animal but Tamlin, one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled their world. As Fire dwells on his estate, her feelings for Tamlin transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie and warning she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But an ancient wicked shadow over the fairyland is growing, and Fire must find a way to stop it, or doom Tamlin and his world forever. So we will see how I enjoy Sarah J. Maas. Do I like Sarah J. Maas, or am I on the hate train? We will see. Next book I picked up is Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda. I haven't read the book. I haven't seen the movie. I really enjoyed reading When Dimple Met Rishi, and I wanted to read at least one contemporary a month, so this will probably be my contemporary for the month of May. I will probably be reading this. And of course, I don't need to explain this book. This is an older book. Most people know about this. I'm looking forward to diving into it and making my own opinion about it. I also continued my Cassandra Clare collection here by finally picking up the 6th book of the Mortal Instruments. So this is City of Heavenly Fire, which I got in a used bookstore for a really nice price, along with the first book of the Infernal Devices series, Clockwork Angel. At the very least, I will definitely be finishing this Mortal Instruments series from Cassandra Clare and starting the Infernal Devices and seeing how I like it. Next book I picked up, this was a random pickup. It's called Rewind. I haven't seen too many people talk about it, but when I read the concept of the story, I had to pick it up. It is 16-year-old Alex Manning has a rare gift. She's a spinner who can freeze and even rewind time. Hatred and feared, spinners are housed in centers where they are carefully monitored and medicated. They are let outside for only one purpose, to use their gift to help solve crimes. Each spinner is paired with an officer, and Alex hits the jackpot, an agent who actually values her skills. She and Agent Ross are secretly trying to catch a dangerous criminal, a task that will take time, but time is something Alex doesn't have. No spinner lives past 20. When Agent Ross reveals that he knows about an experimental treatment to help her, Alex suddenly sees a future for herself that she never imagined. Time to solve the case, and maybe even a chance to tell her best friend how she really feels about him. But the promising medication brings with it an ability that would terrify the world and even put other spinners in danger, and are the benefits worth the risk? So I love time travel books, and I love time travel stories. When I read about this, it sounded really interesting, and I really wanted to pick it up. I haven't heard anybody really talking about this on BookTube. I'll let you know how it is. It's called Rewind by Carolyn O'Doherty. And finally, I have some middle grade books that I picked up. This is a book I've heard a lot about on BookTube that I really just had to pick up because so many people have talked about it. And this is Nevermore, Trials of Morgan Crowe by Jessica Townsend. If I read the synopsis on this, Morgan Crowe is cursed, born on Evertide, the unluckiest day for any child to be born. Morgan is blamed for all local misfortunes, from hailstorms to heart attacks, and worst of all, the curse dooms her to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. But as Morgan awaits her fate, a strange and remarkable man named Jupiter North appears. Chased by black smoke hounds and shadowy hunters on horseback, he whisks her away into the safety of a secret magical city called Nevermore. It's in Nevermore that Morgan discovers Jupiter has chosen her to contend for a place in the city's most prestigious organization, the Wondrous Society, in order to join and to stay in the safety of Nevermore for good. Morgan must compete in 4 different and dangerous trials against hundreds of other children, or she'll have to leave the city to confront her deadly fate. Perfect for fans of Neil Gaiman as well as the Harry Potter and Mysterious Benedict Society series, this fast-paced plot and imaginative world has a fresh new energy and a take on magic that will appeal to all generations, with a story that grabs you from the first page and doesn't let go until the final word. So like I said, I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I am looking forward to reading it. Mostly people compare it to Harry Potter because I guess people compare everything to Harry Potter, which I have mentioned on one of my tags that I have never read Harry Potter. But since I was at a used bookstore and I found Harry Potter's and the Sorcerer's Stone for a good price in hardbound, I said I might as well start it up. Here's me buying a book and planning on reading it. And those are my YA books for the month of April. I did buy a lot, more than I I even realized. I think there's a lot of good ones in here, and I'm looking forward to getting into them. And that's my YA and middle grade book haul. My next book haul will be the last few books that I have, which will basically be sci-fi, fantasy, and other. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.